Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Flaminia and this is the YouTube channel where I talk about my knitting and everything I like to cast on. And today we're gonna talk about Colourwork sweaters. Basically, I've been obsessed with Colourwork. I realized these last couple of months I've saved a ton of posts on Instagram, and I've also been scrolling through Ravelry, just mindlessly and encountering some beautiful patterns that I would love to make, but you know, I'm not just committing to any of them yet because I don't have the yarn for any of them, but they just look too beautiful not to share and not to mention. And they are kind of less traditional, a bit more, I don't know, I feel like to me they feel more modern. I don't know if there is something in particular that makes me say this. I just feel like that I would look and I would feel very cool in any of these sweaters. I've collected 15 patterns and I've put them all in a Ravelry bundle that I'll link in the description if you want to check it out and just have all the patterns grouped together. And I also have one which I think is just from like an independent designer that doesn't sell on Ravelry, so that would be like an independent link, but I'll share that in the end so I can group everything by, you know, where you can buy from. And I think we can get started. I'll be looking at the bundle on my phone, so if you see me looking at my phone, that's the reason why. Also, I'm talking a bit lower, like in volume, because my brother is working, so yeah, I don't know, kind of feels awkward, but kind of hope he doesn't hear me. But I'll just pump up the volume a little bit in editing, so I hope you don't mind that. So the first pattern, which I just instantly fell in love once I saw a picture of it on Instagram, is the Autumn Alpine sweater, or just the Autumn Alpine by Kathleen Hunter. And it is just this beautiful like Colourwork yoke sweater with just, yeah, a circular yoke. And it also has some like interesting details on like the sleeves with like some interesting like broken grip, is it, or like garter stitch around the collar and around the hem. They look really good like overall, but you could also just, I think, go by with a chunkier ribbing at the collar and at the hems if you wanted to. But yeah, I think what really draw me to it, I think I really like floral Colourwork designs. I think it's a bit of a recurring theme in some of these patterns. And on Instagram, let me find the picture that I'm referring to. On Instagram, I saw this beautiful version where in all, like in the center, how's it called, the center of the flower? I don't know, I did biology, but I don't remember. The center of all the flowers, they're in a different color. It is maybe done with duplicate stitch, I'm not really sure, but that looked amazing. And I am pretty sure I also, like, if this is true, I'll try to put a picture of it, but someone that just made the flowers themselves in a different color, in a contrast color, and that looked absolutely gorgeous. And I think what makes this pattern like special, it's like the gauge. It's knitted with a sport weight yarn, and the gauge is 24 stitches per 10 centimeters. And I don't know, something about it, just something about this gauge, you know, when like Colourwork is knitted on very small needles, it can look very detailed and very neat. And I just love this. And you know, it's kind of not too thin and not too thick. It's like sport weight. It's not like fingery weight, but it's not even DK and worsted weight or that stuff. It's just kind of a very good weight for Colourwork, I think. The only problem is that I think that not many yarns come in that how's it called, that in that weight. Yes, the suggested yarn is Moondrake Co. Moonspun, which is a yarn I don't know, but I'm not very knowledgeable, so you know, doesn't really make a testament about it. And this pattern comes in 9 sizes, from a bust circumference of 91.5 centimeters to 173 centimeters, sorry, and which I think is pretty good, and it's just really lovely. And I also would love to make it maybe a bit more positive ease, more like the picture on Instagram that I saw, and less like the sample itself of the pattern, but it just looks really, really nice. And again, you have like some cute ways to personalize it, I think, when there are flowers, so you can make them like different colors. And I don't know, I just really love color work with flowers. Right, next we have the Camellia sweater by Knits pour Moi, which I believe, I'm guessing it's a Korean designer, but don't quote me on that. I'm just saying it because the pattern is available in English, French, and Korean, I guess. I don't know, but it is just such a beautiful sweater, and there is just, I think, a lot of detail put into it. Like, if you can see the flowers in the pattern, they're not all the same. And I think Inga from Nine Traditions knitted this sweater, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, and it also, like, the Ravelry page already comes with like the schematics with all the measurements, which is pretty helpful in itself. And it just looks awesome. And I think I've seen a low contrast version on Instagram, which I loved, and which I'll maybe put here. It's just amazing. And yeah, it's a raglan construction as well. And so yeah, I don't think it would be like too complex, not like nothing knitted flat or anything like that. I would just like to know, it's all in French, if it's knitted bottom up or top down. It's knitted from the top down, so that's a plus for me. So I can, you know, yarn management, it's, you know, just comes a little bit easier. And yeah, it just has a cute chunky color. And also, yeah, the color, I think there are like a maximum of 2 colors per row, because even like the centers of the flowers, they're just, I think, 2 colors. So it would be not too difficult of a sweater as well. And it is also a sport weight gauge. It is 23 stitches. And it only comes in 3 sizes, unfortunately, but it's just too beautiful not to mention. Honestly, I think we can move on to the next one, which is I don't know if it's like classifiable, if you can put it into the Colourwork category, but I think I can. It is the Ingrid by Louise Fredrickson, I think. I hope so. And it is a bulky weight sweater, and it is knitted with 2 colored brioche, which I would consider as like Colourwork, because you, like, for every row you hold the 2 colors together, like in your hands. So I think I definitely consider, for me, this as a Colourwork sweater. And what it is so cool is that, like, you use increases and decreases with this beautiful squishy brioche stitch to make like some leaves in the yoke, and that is just like really striking. And I've never like worked 2 colored brioche, and I don't know if I ever will knit this pattern, but it just looks very, very cool. Like, I think I would prefer maybe a lower contrast version, but in my mind it's not as worth it because you can see it less. So if you want to put this work into this more complex sweater, you want people to see it and you want yourself to see it as well. So yeah, I don't know, but it just looks really, really impressive. and it is knitted with the bulky weight yarn on 7mm needles, so maybe it doesn't go as slow. Definitely doesn't go slow as like Ocean 4, so that's maybe a plus. And there are very few information on Ravelry, but it has only 3 sizes, and yeah, that's it for this. But it's just really, really gorgeous. Okay, next one, it's by like a more well-known designer, but I've never seen like people talking about it as much. It is the Beeo sweater, like the Beeo, literally, sweater by Ego Knit. And it is a stranded colorwork, but it is so cool because it's done in what's it called? Boucle yarn. The recommended yarn, it's Gepard Garn Teddy Deer, which is I think a bulky weight iron weight boucle, alpaca boucle, I think. And it is just very, very cool. Usually people, like at least myself, I wouldn't go for boucle for colorwork because it doesn't have like as much of a good stitch definition, if no stitch definition at all. So maybe it's not the easiest to work up, but something about it looks so cozy, and I don't know, it just looks very, very unique, and I love it. Like I've actually considered knitting this pattern up myself, and yeah, I don't know why I didn't. Yeah, because like I don't know, never had the time, never was the right time, you know, all of that kind of stuff. But it looks really, really nice, and I think I would do that. I would knit the sweater with like in this kind of same color palette that the designer used. I don't know, I just really love it. And also I think like of course, like every pattern, you could did it like with modifications for men, but I think that there is, like in this pattern, there is some more information on how to adapt it for men, like for more of a masculine fit. And I don't know, I do appreciate it sometimes, because you know, you don't, sometimes you like, you want to knit maybe a sweater that you knit for yourself already, for like your either a like significant other or whatever. But yeah, you always have to figure things out on your own. But if the designer already puts things into the pattern, that's better. And yeah, so maybe not the most beginner friendly option for color work, but yeah, I don't know, like these patterns just leave rent free in my mind, honestly. So that's it. Next couple of patterns are by the same designer, by Spectacle Strick, and I think you've heard about this designer for their colorwork designs. And this is the Ying Yang modification sweater, and yeah, it just looks really, really cool. Like I love those like this is something that you could easily buy in a store, like not easily, but that you could buy in a store for like the overall design and the overall vibe, but like knitted yourself, it just takes the craftsmanship to the next level, and it just looks amazing. Is as well all over colorwork. I don't know why I'm feeling the all over colorwork look these days, but yeah, it just features this like yin and yang design all over it, and it has like a crew neck color, but with like an actual color, like a polo color. No, I think that's a turtleneck. A folded, no, not a folded, but with a collar. I think you get what I mean, with a collar. And yeah, I don't know, it just looks preppy and fun and nice. And again, you can go crazy with the color combination. And even if, you know, it's knitted with 2 colors, it's just very striking and impressive. And it is knit in a DK yarn. The suggested yarn, it's Filcolana Peruvian Highland wool, and there are 2 6 sizes, from an extra small to a 2XL. But yeah, I think it's really cool, and even though it would take maybe a bit more time, totally worth it. I think it's just really, really nice. And now I think my favorite so far, it's again by Spectacle Shrek, and it is the Bibi sweater. It's majestic, it's amazing, it's just too good to be real. Like, I don't know, it's maybe the most traditional of them, maybe. No, not really, but you know, it's not that crazy in the design. It's just, there are so many colors. I think there are, I've counted them this morning, 8 colors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I remembered correctly. 8 colors, and every single version I'm in love with. This particular version I love. But yeah, like more of a low contrast, but even like every single version I've seen of this sweater knitted up just looks so amazing, and it just looks so like neat. And I think it's just for the tight gauge. It is knitted on, like, I think the main body is on 3.5 millimeter needles, which is quite small. And it says that the yarn weight, it's a fingering held with a DK, but like that sounds really dense to be knitted on 3.5, so that's maybe, you know, when Ravelry is not as accurate. But if you're familiar with these yarns, I personally am not, but it is Filacolana Tilia and Filacolana Saga. So I don't think it's actually, like, let me see, Filacolana Saga. Oh, never mind. It's like totally wrong. Filacolana Saga, it's a lace weight yarn, and Tilia is their like lace weight silk mohair. So it's just, I think, a overall fingering weight gauge, like a lace together with lace. So yeah, Ravelry like was kind of wrong, but yeah, that makes more sense. And the gauge is 26 stitches for 10 centimeters. And yeah, it is like all of these complex colorwork patterns, it's really hard to find them with a very like complete size range. And maybe because like they're harder to grade because, you know, you have to make everything match up, like, but I'm not a designer, so I don't know. That's just a guess. But yeah, it goes from an extra small to a 2XL. And yeah, with this you could really go crazy and ham with the colors. And every single version I've seen, I've loved, and I'm really tempted to make this. But yeah, I'll maybe buy the yarn for it when I'll go to Scotland next semester. But yeah, that's just an idea. Because yeah, I don't know if I would want to use a mohair with it. It just looks so pretty and nice. But yeah, I would for sure want to see like the colors in person, so that I can, you know, have a clearer image of what the finished object would look like. But I really would suggest you to knit this pattern if you like it. Like, not just purely because it is pretty. Not because I've read the pattern, not because I own the pattern, not because I made the garment. But yeah, like, if you've ever thought about making it, like, please let me know, because I don't want to be the only one being totally obsessed with this. And it is also a different construction, and it's also a bit scary because I think you know, it's a drop shoulder knitted from the bottom up, and I think the sleeves are steeked. I don't know. I don't know if I'm that brave to do that, but like, to be honest, I've never been bothered enough to steek anything. But if that's the only way to knit this sweater, I'd probably do it. Putting it out there in the world, or just modify it to knit it flat. But maybe my gauge would be off. I have no idea, but this is just so pretty and majestic. Next one is again by Spectacle Shrek, and it is the wave sweater. There has been, I don't know the reason, I'm not that knowledgeable, but I know there was like maybe a month ago or 2 months ago, something like that, like in the past. Recently there has been a wave, like a knit along for this wave sweater, and it's just I was like, okay, this looks very impressive, but I've never been like, oh, I'm knitting this sweater like right now. But I've seen so many, like I've seen a couple or more than a couple of people knitting this sweater on, you know, my Instagram and on my feed. Oh my god, it looks so pretty, I want to die. Like I've heard that the like Spectacle Shrek's patterns are not the most, like they don't hold your hand very much, and this one, you know, as well, but it just looks so good and so, yeah, just really so striking and impressive. But like the color work itself, I think it's not really that hard. They're just like, for the most part, they're just column of, you know, colors. So yeah, that would be very, very nice. And I think it's also like kind of on a bigger gauge, maybe like, I don't know, maybe not a bulky way, but like worsted to Aran, I think. And that would make it maybe knit up faster. And that would be also really, really warm, because, you know, everything stranded color work, it's just double layered because you have floats going on at the back. Most of these I think patterns that I'm showcasing today, they have colorworks on the sleeves as well, which is definitely more tricky. I've knitted a colorwork sweater with a little bit of colorwork on the sleeve, and that has been definitely trickier than just, you know, a normal classic colorwork yoke sweater. But I don't know, sometimes I just think that the extra effort is just really pays off. Wow. And yeah, this is it. And on to another beautiful, amazing sweater. This is the Nordic mix sweater by Laura Dalgard. And like, what else can I say? Like, do you see this? This is just like, it's something you could, I think you couldn't buy in a store for how like beautiful and complex and precious it is. Like, I think that this, like knitting this sweater would boost your knitting confidence so highly that, you know, you'd feel like a god, like completing this. And I'm sure that these, like the sleeves on this are stitched, so that's also like more complex. And I don't know, I'm just like talking about these sweaters as I have the ability to knit them, but you know, we can just, a girl can dream, and we can all dream together admiring these beautiful works. And like, for how complex it is, a fair amount of people have done it, which, you know, proud of, like, props to them, congrats. And this is also a worsted weight gauge, and the sizes go from an extra small to a 3XL, which is more than the other patterns. And you also have a like grid with all the measurements on Ravelry without, you know, having to purchase the pattern, which is good. Yeah, there are 97 projects on Ravelry, which is, you know, pretty a lot for how complex this is. And yeah, like a high contrast version for this, like imagine a black and white, stunning. And yeah, I think it is knitted from the bottom up, actually. Yeah, I don't know, because the description is in Danish, Norwegian. Okay, hold on, we have some more. We have now something that sits a little bit more subtle and less in your face, but still very, very cool. It is a cardigan. I think it's the only cardigan of the roundup. I didn't even realize this was here, but it makes sense because it's beautiful. It is the Nola by Yamagara Knits, and it's just super cool. It's basically a cropped cardigan with very, very wide sleeves with like a climax of increasing flowers, like increasing in size flowers on the sleeves, and that's like the only color work you do. I'm not sure on how you do it, but Hella of the Danish Musings YouTube channel, I think knitted this pattern in black and white, and it was super amazing. And it also has, I think, the option to make like a slit in the bottom of the sleeves, which is something that I've never seen, which is also super nice. And it also like contributes to the flowiness of the sleeves. Like, you know, they're so big, so you don't want them to be stiff because that would look kind of odd. So I think it works really well with the overall design. And it is a bulky weight knit. I don't know, I think it's, yeah, Aran bulky weight knit. The gauge is 16 stitches and it's knitted on 5 and 5.5 millimeter needles. And yeah, but I think that the yarn she uses, or one of the yarn she uses, like they're kind of or either fluffy or like a chain net yarn. So yeah, that also helps to make the, you know, the cardigan itself not as easy, not as heavy, which is, I think, quite important. I'm learning, like with something that is not super big and oversized, I am less what's it called, tolerant with it being very heavy in weight. So that's definitely a good choice for a bulky weight knit or an arrow weight knit, and it just looks very pretty, and it has flowers on it, so just saying. And again, yes, I think we're moving towards the more easy and chill patterns. The next one is the Jeju sweater by Beeo Knit again, and it is just, I love the silhouette of this sweater. It's a drop shoulder crew neck sweater, yes, with a folded hem, twisted rib, and a big, like what's it called, split hem on the body. And the main feature of this design is that it has a huge band of colorwork like all across the body, which I don't know, it looks quite classy. I don't remember, is it like, it gives me some like Argyle print vibes, and I don't know, it just looks very preppy and nice and put together, and it would be like, I think, a very good sweater for like if you go to an office, like for going to work in general. I don't know, it just looks very professional, and I love the color like combination that she chose with the charcoal and the cream. And I would definitely knit that, if you know, if I'd ever knit the sweater, I would definitely use those colors. And the yarn weight, I think it's like fingering, because it's like lace held together, but I think it is on a pretty fine gauge. It is with Isager yarn Tvini and Isager yarn silk mohair, and Tvini is a lace weight, yeah, so it's like 2 lace weight yarn held together, which is like a fingering weight ish. but it is knitted on 4mm needles, and the gauge is 21 stitches, which is like I usually associate with more of a DK weight yarn. So that's, you know, I understand why it looks like very hairy and fluffy, that's why, but it doesn't like look weird and holey at all. Next one is the only petite knit pattern in this roundup. I think also because it's the only one, the only Colourwork pattern she has in her collection yet. Is it true? I'm pretty sure, or at least the only one that's, you know, it's stuck in my mind. And I love this. It's the Celeste sweater by Petite Knit, and this is just a like quite easy, I think, Colourwork yoke. No Colourwork on the sleeves, no Colourwork on the body, just on the yoke. It's a circular yoke with a mock neckline, yes. And I love all of the version that I've seen of this sweater, and I don't know, it just looks like you've put on a huge like intricate necklace, I don't know, beaded necklace on your chest across your shoulders, and it looks super pretty. And I've seen a color combo that I particularly like that I'll maybe put here. And yes, if I'd ever make this sweater, I would go for a similar moody, greeny, foresty vibe with my color choices. And yeah, what else can I say about this? I think the recommended yarn is Gint, so it's like a DK weight gauge, and I don't know how many colors this has for each of the 4 colors. So we have one main color and 4 contrast colors, and I think for every color, for most of the sizes, you can get away with just using one ball of it. I mean, if the ball is 50 grams of a DK, I think you could get away with using just one of every color. The sizes go from a 2XS to a 5XL, which I think is a pretty good range. And yes, I think this pattern has short rows, but before splitting for sleeves, which I think have I done that? I've done it once, and like it's not my favorite. Like I still prefer it closer to the neck, also because that requires more yarn, like to make the short rows here. It takes more yarn to make the short rows here, but you know, that's another thing. But I also prefer the fit of having them closer to the neck. I feel like that it's more effective. I don't know if it's just like a placebo effect, but yeah, I think it works. Yes, definitely, you know, better to have them there than no short rows at all. So yeah, there are just so many pretty color combinations out there. So even if you don't feel comfortable choosing your own color palette, you can really go ham with it. So, or you can just copy someone else's. So that's really a good option, and that's, I think, would be a good first Colourwork sweater. I can pretty certainly state that, because you practice like holding your yarn, and you know, the Colourwork repeat is pretty easy. Like most of it is like a 1-to-1 or 1-by-1 Colourwork. I don't remember how you say it, but yeah, just one stitch in a color and one stitch in the other color. So yeah. Next one is also one that I've seen a knit along going on, and it is the Super Selene sweater by Anne Bensel. Anne Bensel is a pattern designer that has been unfortunately diagnosed with breast cancer, or I think it's breast cancer, but I don't want to be wrong, but some kind of like serious disease, and people like to support her. They have been doing a knit along where they need her most recent design as like trying to support her. And I've just seen so many pretty versions of this all over the internet. Like Knittarina on Instagram, participating in the knit along, as well as what's it called? How can I forget? Handmade by Florence. She made a beautiful version with I think the recommended yarn is Gepard Garn Puno and Gepard Garn Kitsera. But I think that you could also get away with using Gepard Garn Puno on its own to get gauge, maybe. I'm not sure. I think so. But yeah, it's just like Gepard Garn Puno. I don't know why. I think I say it wrong. Gepard Garn Puno is like kind of a fluffy yarn, and it just creates this fabric that, you know, as the boucle like sweater that I talked about earlier, it doesn't have much stitch definition, so but like better than the boucle, to be honest. So this just looks like the patterning is just printed on the sweater, and I don't know why, it just makes me feel safer. It makes me feel safe, because that means that if I do things wrong, like tensioning wise, if you have tension issues, that could be like hidden by the yarn texture. So yes, maybe not too appropriate for a first Colourwork sweater, but maybe you could, you probably could knit it, but just be aware there are some, I think, longer floats. I just love it. It's just very oversized. I think there is a similar version, which is just called the Selene, instead of the Super Selene, just the Selene, and I think it's a different gauge and it is a more fitted version, but I love the super like oversized version, and I like, I prefer the like oversized and cropped version that she has. And I've also heard good things about like her patterns in general, but this pattern in particular that really goes in depth about like color dominance and like how to hold your yarn, and then just things that if you're a beginner Colourwork knitter you would like to know maybe, and you would want your first Colourwork pattern to have to explain it to you. So we just have 2 or 3 left. Next one is the Moinear, I don't know, Moinear by Albiona McLaughlin, and it is just looks very whimsical, this pattern. And I don't know if it's maybe the vibe, just the vibe of like the photo shoot of the pattern, like pictures, but I love it. I mean, it's floral, so that's bonus points for me, but something about it just looks like a fairy could wear this, and I love it. I would make a high contrast version of this as well. Maybe black and white would be gorgeous with this, but also like something more colorful as it is with flowers. But it just gives you again a ton of options, I think. And I love how, there are it looks like the, I don't know, when you sketch things on paper and those lines in like the Colourwork kind of look like that, because they can like be broken up sometimes. And I also love the corrugated ribbing it has. It just looks very unique. This pattern has an iron weight gauge, a 16 stitches gauge, and the pattern is available in English. There are 8 sizes, which is pretty good, I think, from a 86 centimeter circumference to a 160 centimeter circumference. Then the next and last for the Ravelry ones, it's I think the most traditional looking one, but it's the Chunky Marius Dame number 2 by Sandnes Garn. And again, I just see this recurring theme about chunky fluffy Colourwork sweaters. Again, something about this just seems very whimsical, and I don't know if it's like mysterious is the right word, but I don't know, just very pretty, and like, I don't know if feminine is the right word to describe it, but something about the fit just, I think, would make me feel like very cozy, but very cool, and very like comfortable with myself, and comfortable in the way that's comfy. I don't know, just, I don't know how to explain it, but it just looks very, very good. And it is knitted with Sandnesgarn Bastet Alpaca or Sandnesgarn Kos. Oh, both are used in the pattern. Oh, they're held together. Okay, that's, yeah, that makes sense. So it's a super bulky pattern. And I wondered the needle size. Yes, it's knitted on 9mm needles, so if you don't like the super chunky needles, maybe not for you, but if you're in the mood for that, it would work out really nicely, I think. It gives like a Norwegian lady in a cottage in the woods vibes, and I love it. And I think there are also like kids version if you'd want to make a matching one. That like, there are not many sizes. It goes from a size small to a size 2XL. But yeah, I think that Sandnesgarn's designs, especially, I don't think this is particularly new, but I think, yeah, they're not particularly known to be size inclusive. But yeah. Then the last, I promise, the last sweater I have to talk about, because yeah, it has flowers, and I don't know, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's like something I really wanted. And I don't know, like, if I could be a Colourwork sweater, I think I would be this sweater, which is the Pokhara Polar, and the designer is Lincoln Newman. Oh, which is, yeah, very, very famous. Apparently, I even follow her. Never mind. And yes, it just has these like cute flowers, cute flowers on it, and yeah, something about the very springy colors and colorful colors that she used is like very, very pretty, and makes me so genuinely happy that, yeah, I would like knit it instantly. But I think, yeah, I think it's either the pattern is not out yet, or she is or it's on her website, but I'll write it on the screen. And yeah, you know, it was too pretty not to mention. And this is all of the patterns I had to share with you today. I hope you've got some inspiration from it. If you're thinking about knitting some of these, let me know in the comments. And yes, just like in general, let's chat about Colourwork inspo in the comments, because I don't know why I'm so obsessed with Colourwork. Like, I've made just 2 projects in Colourwork, but I don't know, I think like that when you wear them, they just make you feel so special, and they're so meditative to work on, and they will just be an heirloom piece if you just make a like very complex one. And I don't know, toying with the idea, but still not sure. So let me know if you have some like either like dreams or concrete plans, either of the two. If you want to see more from me, you can follow me on Instagram over here, and yeah, like all of my other socials are linked in the description box down below. And yes, if you want, you can subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed what you've seen, and maybe you want to stick around for podcast episodes. That's up to you, but if you stick till the end, thank you so much, and I hope I'll see you in the next video. Bye.